Howdy, everybody. My name is Emiliano Flores-Rendon, and today I'll be explaining aggregative expenditure components and understanding how each factor can influence each other. First, headingly, let's talk about the creator of this model, which his name is John Maynard Keynes. Originally, primary goal of the model is able to explain when the economy can be stuck at performing due to performing at an output level under output expectation. This model determines as well the total amount of households or companies that are thinking especially on spending especially on goods and services at different incomes. It is also utilized as one way to calculate GDP out product. So this model will only work or only counts on the full unemployment dealing with natural unemployment, not cynical. So we're not accounting for large cynical job differences or unemployment. So the four factors that are affect agricultural expenditure will be cost, investment, government, and net exports. So primarily, we'll see as consumption being C, investment being I, government being G, and net exports being NX. So first, finally, let's talk about how each factor can considerably affect agricultural expenditure. First, finally, one for consumption, which understanding consumption is how much a household spends on either goods or services. So a factor that can potentially affect this is disposable income. Higher income can lead to higher spending, or less income can lead to lower amount of spending. Higher interest rates can lead to more less borrowing and spending. Consumer confidence as well. The expectations of future income can potentially increase or decrease their consumption. For two, investment, the definition for investment will technically be spending by the business on capital goods, factories, machinery, technology, or any residential construction, as well as something you expect to receive something in the long run. One factor that can potentially affect this is interest rates, business confidence, technological advancements, corporate taxes, capacity utilization. For government, for three, is how much government is spending on overall due to either fiscal policy, economic conditions, tax revenue, and budget constraints, and currently providing a good that is you normally tends to be given due to tax revenue or economic conditions. For four, net export is how much we either import or export into the country, which the difference would be in between exchange rates, how much the dollar is valued towards, and hurriedly costing either for an import to be a lot cheaper, a lot more expensive to ship or ship in and ship out, as well as global economic conditions. If another country can potentially be underperforming, can potentially harm our imports coming into the country, as well as trade policy and tariffs, which could potentially also decrease the amount of imports we're having in if we have high interest rates in foreign countries. As well as if we see under here, the determinants of agriculture, aggregative expenditure table would be domestic income. If we see an increase on consumption and an effect on next imports, we see a decrease on next exports. We generally see an increase on agricultural expenditure, which again will help us understand a way that GDP product continues to either increase or decrease. As well as in Wales, we see an increase in consumption in Wales, we see a general increase on like agricultural expenditure. And so for Hurley, expanded future income, we see an increase in consumption, no need for a change in investment, government, or next imports. We see an increase. Now here, interest rates. If there's a higher interest rates, potentially we see a lower amount of consumption, a lower amount of investment. We don't see much of government expenditure or next imports, which would generally lead to a decrease on agricultural expenditure. Instead, expected probability, we'll see an increase in investment and also we see an increase in expenditure. Now here on business taxes, if we have an increase in business taxes, let's say, we'll see a decrease in investment, which also will lead into a decrease upon agricultural expenditure. Foreign income increase, we'll see an increase in next imports, which leads to a higher GDP. Exchange rates were to decrease exchange rates would also lead to a decrease upon agricultural expenditure. Taxes of foreign goods will be a decrease on agricultural expenditure if we have a decrease on next imports, and also it depends on trade policy, depends on each factor. If we have a positive trade policy, we can see an increase in agricultural expenditure. We see a negative trade policy, we would see a decrease in agricultural expenditure.